The Halloween experts at Magic Manor have everything you'll need this year, including actual character masks from famous motion pictures. And they can show you the proper application of makeup to impress that special someone. Magic Manor's professional hand-painted custom masks start as low as $250. This Halloween, remember Magic Manor. Wigs, masks, makeup, costumes, shockingly authentic. Magic Manor, East Wind Mall.
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome back to episode 38 of Descent into Horror Hell.
38, man. Holy shit.
Oh, man.
How you guys doing? You sick of looking at us ugly mugs yet?
Well, I hope not, because we got plenty in store for you.
We got some fun coming for you. So
this obviously is one of our. It's kind of an episode it's kind of
a phobia
episode. We dabbled in some of these films.
School loves spiders.
So yeah, we're doing bug infestation movies, or infestation, not necessarily bugs, but infestation
snakes,
movies.
Worms, slugs,
critters,
tarantulas.
You name it. So anything there's more than one.
Anything you don't want to find in the middle of the night when you're sleeping.
So we're gonna go through our top 10 of that. We're also gonna get into horror franchises. We're gonna each pick one out of four major franchises, which we'll get to.
That should be fun. And
then also, of course, Coffin Joe, who passed away. We're obviously going to do a pretty good tribute to him.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, take it away, intro.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Descent into Horror Hell, and this is, like you said, our infestation: bugs, rats, snakes, spiders.
Spiders, yeah. The whole
Ghoul's favorite. He just killed it. I guess I'll go first. These are going to be our top 10 each, so this should be pretty fun. We also don't know each other's lists, so you know the drill if you've been watching us this far, so let's go.
And if you haven't, that's what we do. We don't ever show each other's list. We just kind of.
It just kind of makes it fun and keeps it real, you know, because you never know what to say when you got this thing in front of you. So
here we go.
My first one is Bug.
Classic.
Yeah, man, this one's a really good one. Kind of, let's see here, 75. I think that's a 75. Maybe I need glasses. 75. Kind of came out with that whole bug infestation craze of the early 70s, you know, movies like Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner, of course, and stuff like that. I think it's really well done. What I like about bug movies from the old days, like the 70s and the 80s, is they actually use real bugs.
A lot of issues
and
with
real
that.
snakes and actually real animals, you
real
know?
Spiders.
Because nowadays you got CGI, you know, and it just doesn't sell it like the old ones do. But Bug definitely is a first-round knockout film. I loved it. It's about these killer mutated cockroaches that come back and will have a craving for human flesh, and shit gets really ugly. This actually is going to be getting a really good Blu-ray release from, I believe, Scream Factory.
Good.
But
it deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm actually really happy to have the DVD as well. So I definitely probably will be upgrading because it's a great film. Bug for 75.
Classic.
Go, what you got?
From 1977. Ants! This is also there's another title to this, the manor that this was at. Or Horror at Lakeside Manor or something like that. Very, very classic movie. From again, 77.
Yeah, that was the year.
Suzanne Summers, of course, who everybody was sick and tired of her, so let's get her killed by ants. Best thing ever. No, this is kind of one of those movies, again, now, it was the 70s craze, just as Skid Gore just alluded to.
Real animals.
I think if we ever talk iconic scenes, if you've ever seen this movie, when Brian Denny comes running out when they bring the fire brigade in to try to save the woman. And the thing that always confused me was when that girl's getting rescued and he's holding her or whatever. Why the hell would you raise the boom of the fire truck to go up? Like the thing keeps going up, like.
Yep.
I guess to get over the anthill? I don't know. The other funny part was when the helicopter
Get over the
shows up.
anthill, yes.
When the helicopter comes in and it just starts blowing all the ants in the ground. It's classic. It's just one of those movies using real ants, obviously. I mean...
What year was that one?
77.
Yeah, that's a whole...
But it definitely had a lot of actors from the 70s, really famous people. I can't name them all, but definitely worth checking out. Ants!
Ants is fucking awesome. From 1973. I guess. It's also known as, I don't know.
You just spring a leak?
I don't know, something like that. This is a really good movie about, well, it's kind of like a mad scientist movie, but it does have a snake infestation as well. There's this king cobra. There's this guy that turns pretty much, he mutates into a king cobra. And
it's like Cobra Woman.
It's actually very well done. You care for the characters, and the effects are pretty good. But yeah, there's some pretty hairy moments in there. Like there's this part where this huge boa constrictor or this python or whatever like drops from a cellar onto this guy and just like chokes him. I just see them like fuck, because you know snakes are my favorite things in the world. First thing, I respect snakes for what they are. I respect them for being the beautiful creatures they are. But I do not want one dropping on me or finding one under my bed. We've had this conversation many times. And same with you with spiders. So this episode is kind of hard to do because it's kind of a phobia episode as well. But yeah, it was great. Check it out.
Oh yeah. Alright, as far as like movies go, it may not be a full-length movie, but Creepshow from 1982. The infamous cockroach, the third movie in this one.
Upset and Pratt!
Obviously, we all know if you've seen this, I'm sure most of our viewers have seen this movie.
I hope so.
Very rich Mr. Pratt.
Mr. Pratt.
Lives in a very clean environment.
Very clean.
And he's very germophobic, and cockroaches start coming up from every crevice and thing, and he ends up locking himself
after a blackout.
And
like huge blackout.
And what George Romero said was that like 250,000 live cockroaches were used in the making.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
All real, real.
And you can see it when he gets locked in his bedroom or whatever the hell that is, and they just start filling up in there, and it's classic. I said, not everything is going to be...
He's got like this little protective case he goes in, and in the last scene of the movie you see like all
they're
these...
just coming through every... And you can tell it's obviously a fake, but it's just the fact that, again, using real cockroaches, using real bugs.
And it's really great effects by Tom Savini as
Absolutely.
well. The part where, I gotta say that part where all the cockroaches come out of him.
Oh yeah.
And they just pour out of him.
His
out of the
mouth,
corpse.
his eyes.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That's fucking cool.
It's classic.
Ratas! Rats, Nights of Terror. Oh my god, this is such a classic. This movie is so fucking hilarious, but terrifying at the same time. There's some of the worst cheesy acting, literally it's rats cheesy. Cheesy acting, and man, it's great. It's also by the director of Hell of a Living Dead, Bruno Mattei, who's also known as a hack director, but I think he directed some really great films as well. He's known for like ripping off other directors like Lucio Fulci and whatnot. But Rats Nights of Terror is really good. All real rats. How they got these rats to perform is pretty amazing. Just
they're smart animals.
Yeah, they're just relentless, you know, and they're craving for human flesh and taking over Manhattan. Basically, this movie just screams like early Manhattan. Like, you feel the sleet of New York when you watch this, you know, all the sewers and the rats and shit. And the last scene of the movie, I'm not going to give it away. I'm sure everyone's seen this movie, but if not, that last scene where you meet the master rat.
Big rat.
It had me rolling on the floor every time I see it. But yeah, Rats Nights of Terror, very good film. Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Bruno Mattei.
Now this one, the title is a little misleading. Frogs! It is a very misleading.
Now you got to read the quote on the front. What is it? Today the pad and tomorrow the world.
Today the pond, tomorrow the world.
It's the greatest.
Which is hilarious because if you've ever seen this movie, the title says frogs. You would think there's killer frogs that are going out. Well, really not the case.
Oh, definitely.
There obviously, like most of these movies, there's toxic things that get in the water, and it causes these frogs more or less to ribbit out orders, I guess, to the other animals to do their bidding. It's something weird. I mean,
okay.
alligators going out and killing and stuff, and what else was in there?
Another 70s.
Snakes. I mean, falling from trees. The one guy who, I think it was this one, if I remember correct. No, yeah, where the guy comes across like all these mysterious deaths. Or no, thinking of another movie. Just kidding.
I haven't seen Frogs in a while, dude.
But
since
more
that
or
movie
less-
I watch every night.
But more or less, the frogs actually really only show up like 3 times the entire movie.
I don't remember.
It's more or less they make basically force nature to do their killing.
Is there a famous actor in that movie too? It's not John Kerry.
Ray
is it?
Milland, who was in.
Oh yeah,
He was
Man
in
with the
Man
X-ray
X-ray
eyes.
Eyes,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So,
Cool.
and he plays an old man.
Yeah.
And he gets really pissed
And he's really,
off 'cause
yeah,
it's
he's like a
birthday.
really grumpy old guy.
Because it's his birthday, and he doesn't give a shit who dies as long as he has his birthday.
That's right. I gotta rewatch
It's so
Frogs
funny.
again, man. It's been a while. This is another good one here from 76. 76 was a great year for bugs and
70s. in
worms and
general.
shit, yeah. Squirm, this is a classic right here. Joe Lieberman film. Jeff Lieberman, I'm sorry, not Joe Lieberman. Jeff Lieberman, he also did a movie we both like called Just Before Dawn. Ghoul's favorite movie, Blue Sunshine.
Yeah, if you
Remember
know
that?
If you know
Remember
that
that?
reference, yeah.
That's an inside joke.
If you know that reference,
Yeah.
congratulations.
But if you're watching this that far, thank you. But yeah, Squirm's really good worm movie. I first heard about this movie probably through all those old horror film books where you would see like pictures and images.
There's an
from
iconic
movies and
image of
stuff.
that.
Yeah, especially this cover too. I always thought that was a zombie on there. This looks like a
It
zombie.
does look like it, yeah.
Really, it's all these really pissed off worms. And there's a scene where this dude is fishing, and you know how you put worms on the hooks and shit. And you know the worm is obviously after human flesh, so he's putting the worm on the hook, and the worm just attacks him and attaches itself to him, and then you never look at fishing the same way again after this one.
Guess not.
Squirm's good. Really, really early credit by Rick Baker, Monster Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome movie.
That's
Squirm.
cool. My favorite movie. Yeah, right. And honestly, I hate this movie, but I love it. Arachnophobia. This is from 90... What was this? 90...
94, I think.
94, 95?
Something like that. I remember when it came out.
Jeff Daniels is a lead role, plays a doctor, rolls into town. And
It's not treated very well.
because they had the doctor of like 50 years
Yep.
that retired or
They
died.
They don't trust him.
And basically, in this Brazilian expedition, this guy dies from a spider bite, crawls in his coffin, goes all the way to this town, and nests in the barn and
Yeah.
wreaks havoc on this brand of spider that nobody's ever seen before.
Only one man can prevent it, and that's
John Goodman. That was the best part of the movie. Now,
Where's the problem? Here's the problem right here. He's got tails.
and I just like when he's walking down that dock, and he's just like.
Oh no, buddy. Oh no, buddy. Not today.
But I think one of the parts that really got me is when Jeff Daniels was fighting the big spider in the basement, and you get that vision of the spider. And the thing that always got me was that when the spider would jump, and it would make that screeching noise when it ran. Oh my god, I hate that part. And again, real spiders. For even being
Real
a 90s
spiders.
movie, there were real spiders in this. There were actually real dangers with these spiders because as tarantulas do bite. We're not poisonous, but they did. The actors did actually get bit on this. I know Jeff Daniels talked about this in an interview.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is terrifying. I mean, it's not cheesy at all. It's meant to be a terrifying movie. So
And that movie really shows Jeff Daniels' acting capacity as
it's
well.
not Dumb and Dumber.
No, he really is a good doctor in the movie, and he tries to do the best for the town, but they just don't trust him.
Until
and he
shit
tries
hits
his
the
best.
fan.
Yeah, and then they're basically all, he's all they got, and John Goodman. Not today. Oh man, here's a good one. The Nest.
Ooh, Corman.
Yeah.
The classic.
This is a really good one. Another cockroach movie.
Flesh-eating.
Flesh-eating motherfucking cockroaches.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. What the hell's her name? Lisa Langloras? Sure, whatever.
Sure, we'll go
She
with
plays
that.
a really good actress in this film. Really believable. Kind of an infestation film by mutated. You know, like there's a facility gone wrong.
There's a bomb going off.
Runs amok, and you know, shit kind of goes crazy, and these flesh-eating cockroaches just kind of take over the town.
Right.
They assemble on this cave, and that's where the queen roach is, and they gotta take that out. And there's some really good acting in this movie, really good gore as well.
Surprisingly, for a Corman movie, if you know Corman movies, they're not always the the top of the line when it comes to that. But this one definitely was different.
This is a really good release by Scream Factory. Check it out.
Yes, absolutely. All right, one that you wouldn't necessarily think. Thrill me. Night of the Creeps. Reason I picked this one is because technically these alien slugs are an infestation, and slugs are a vermin, I guess, or a bug. So granted, this borders on zombie movies, possession, whatever the hell you want to call it, but there is a bug element to this when they crawl through the mouths and make them, you know, the zombies or.
That's very true.
So technically, I kind of consider this it's one of those movies that borders on a lot of different things.
Yep.
So I think a bug infestation is pretty much right up the same alley.
We saw that in the theater too, and those bugs look badass. Or the
hell yeah, when
slugs
they're
look
just-
badass. Yeah. And you can tell like Slither James Gunn took a lot for.
hell yeah.
James Gunn, not James Gunn. That's Silence of the Lambs. James Gunn took a lot for Slither from Night of the Creeps.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We're halfway through. Join us as we go. Well, we'll show you some bugs. How about that?
Alright, let's keep the shit rolling. Oh, here's a good snake movie. Now, this movie is long out of print, so I can only get it on the Score Greats collection. I would love to get it as a solo release, but like I said, it's hard to hell to find. You gotta mortgage your house to get it.
That's okay.
But there's this movie from '72 called Stanley, and basically Stanley is about this guy that has this pet rattlesnake that can do all his work for him. Like if he tells Stanley to kill, Stanley will get all his little snake friends together, and they will go out and kill people. And there's a scene where Stanley is throwing all these rattlesnakes at this couple making out in a bed, and it's just horrifying to watch because like there's
Especially if you hate snakes.
yeah, I don't hate snakes. Like we had that conversation before.
You hate
but
snakes.
I don't want to find a rattlesnake in my bed, you know, especially someone throwing them on me as I'm sleeping. So that's kind of a hairy scene for me. Really good special effects. All real snakes too. These are all real snakes, and how they got these snakes to act like this is just amazing. Like they just
Patience.
yeah, like
Lots of cuts.
it's a very good fiery climax as well. And I never seen a movie where you actually kind of feel sorry for a snake. And the snake kind of becomes sort of like an anti-hero, and the guy that's controlling it kind of becomes the asshole. You know, it's kind of the other way around, so it's kind of a unique twist. But there's definitely some great moments in Stanley, and I would highly recommend
If you can find it.
Crook, if you can find it. You know, go on YouTube and check it out. It's real worth your while. Stanley.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to my first giant rat movie, or giant bug. Food of the Gods. Loosely based off of the H.G. Wells story. Burt Gordon, who also did Colossal Man.
Yep.
There's a B-rated movie for you. Directed this creature feature in a sense. Giant overrun rats.
I would say they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
Size of dogs and shit.
So basically what ends up happening is these, you know, like most movies, again, some toxic waste is dumped by an island, and it gets into the waterways, and the animals, infest it. And this is kind of one of those things. They're all giant. But you got rats, chickens, worms, wasps. I mean, any animal on this island is going to be giant. And they
Mutated
did
chickens.
Chickens were the funniest. Actually, pretty good special effects for the rats. I mean, they used obviously not real rats, but I mean
Probably in
they
some
did.
scenes, yeah.
They did for some of them, but they actually had like stage props that were just oversized and man.
I was impressed for
So
sure.
so actually, this is one of the really cool adaptations. Well, loose adaptations of.
That's a
that
hard
book.
movie to find too.
Yeah, Midnight Movies puts out really good movies. So
Who directed that?
went over that. Burt Gordon.
I never heard of him.
Yeah, he did Colossal Man. He did some other shit too. He's actually pretty legendary. But it's a cool fun fact on here is oversized reproduction, worms, chickens, to create gigantic effects. They use 6 different mechanized rat heads and 4 human motivated rat costumes. So
Sounds like fun.
it's a fun little fact for you.
Here we go. A very young Tom Atkins. Now, he does not survive in this movie very long. Maybe they couldn't afford him long enough. I don't know. Very early credit, though.
He probably said, "Kill me."
Tarantula's a deadly cargo. Now, this movie is right up there with Kingdom of the Spiders, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it really,
Yeah.
it's about, Tom Atkins' character plays this guy that's after all these coffee beans. And, he brings them back, but what he doesn't know is in these beans, there are fucking tarantulas. And they kill all the stowaways on the fucking, and they kill all the passengers on the plane. And eventually the plane, the tarantulas eventually make it to the cockpit, and that's not good. And the plane crashes into this town where they love their oranges. Everything is about oranges. They're very pride themselves on their oranges.
Was it Florida?
No, it's not Florida. It's, I don't know.
Took a shot. Georgia.
California town.
That's peaches.
It's just a small California town. But really good, really believable characters. Little kid's kind of annoying, but you know,
Mommy!
you get past that. Not like Bob.
Not Bob.
But it's really good. Very, very real tarantulas. Very real scenes with tarantulas walking around. Yeah, Ghoul, you would absolutely love this movie, by the way.
You couldn't pay me enough to be in a movie like that. Never.
They were real troopers, man. They having all these tarantulas crawling on them, and just, you know, there's got to be some stories, I'm sure, of movies like this and Kingdom of the Spiders, where the cast is just like,
Well, they got bit.
oh man,
They're animals, man. I mean,
it takes something to do that, really, when you're working with snakes and spiders and shit. But yeah, I love Tarantulas Deadliest Cargo. This movie, I got this movie used for like $5 in like some bargain bin years ago, and I just kind of had it on the shelf. And you know, I watched it probably last year for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. It really was good. I think it deserves a lot better release than this, but nonetheless, this is really cool. Tarantulas Deadly Cargo.
Thanks. Next one I got is from 1988. I think it's 88. The Willies. Again, this is one of those movies that it's a trilogy, kind of like Creepshow. This one had the scene with Michael Ray Bauer. Everybody knows him as Donkey Lips from Salute Your Shorts. So he plays this kid who's got this weird fascination with flies. And he always goes to this farmer who's got this fertilizer that he's always trying to steal. And this farmer just kind of gets sick and tired of it. And he makes this special fertilizer where it causes things to grow like 1,000 times their original size. And the flies get into it, and he starts having nightmares of like waking up in like there's like maggots and larvae and all that. And the basic end of the movie is he turns into a giant fly. I just spoiled it for you, but if you haven't seen this movie, you suck. So this is in a sense a infestation film based on the fact of his just obsession with flies. He has thousands of them because he makes these little murals, like little houses and stuff, like doll houses, but he does it with flies, and he's just infatuated with flies. So
it kind of came out at the same time as Spookies, didn't it?
It was about in the 80s. I think this is 88.
It's kind of like a kid, not a kid's movie, but it's like PG-13, isn't it?
No, yeah, it's PG-13.
Yeah,
this is kind of like, it's
It's just kind of a fun, like,
it's campfire stories,
Yeah.
but kind of brought to life, kind of like scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Cool.
So again,
Right on. I first heard about this movie through Deep Red Chaz Bellin. Slugs. Incredibly gory movie. Really good fucking special effects in this one. You got these killer worms, or killer slugs rather, just terrorizing everybody, man. Like they can get their hands on. It's really good gore. I want to say who did the special effects. Elmo Ruse, directed by J.P. Simon. I don't know much of his other work. Maybe I do. I don't know, but Slugs is really good. I love this movie.
it's a classic. That's a good one. All right, we're moving on to yet another H.G. Wells adaptation, Empire of the Ants. I have to get that one a little closer. It's a faded cover. Sorry. So basically, Joan Collins. Yay, another high-end actress. So she runs this real estate company who kind of cons poor people into buying some like pretty worthless property on this island. And nothing's really wrong with that, aside from, once again, some morons try to dump some toxic waste barrels into the ocean. And one gets punctured, ends up on the island, and this whole group that's all enjoying drinks, well, runs into giant ants. Pretty run-of-the-mill story. This is where they did the up-close shots of real ants and just imposed that as a background, so it's like the real cheesy way to do it. But they do utilize stage props in this one as well for the up-close shots, because I remember the one scene when they first encounter the ants, and they're just driving on one of those like Disney trolleys where you got the couple of cars where people can sit in them and whatnot, and they'll get off and like I think 9 out of the 12 people just die right there. Just it's one big onslaught. It's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of one of those movies that it's a guilty pleasure. This would have been 77.
God, that's such a good year. Jeez.
Yeah.
77, 76.
77, yeah.
Damn, man.
So yeah, Joan Collins is in here. I guess you can consider this science fiction too. I think of like a lot of these.
Yeah.
But it's still horror in a sense that it scares people.
A lot of it is like
people just hate them. So.
Like mutation and mad scientist type stuff. It's kind of got a science fiction vibe to it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this movie fucking rules. Do not fuck with Peter Weller in Of Unknown Origin. Holy shit, man! This movie. This guy suffers a complete, utter mental breakdown because of this fucking just relentless rat in his apartment, his penthouse apartment. And this rat, about the size of my fucking cat, if you've ever seen my cat, that's a big fucking rat. But, man. And what I like about this movie, too, it doesn't show the rat, like, in a whole shot. It only shows, like, its mouth, its teeth going, it's actually really fucking well made, man. This movie is badass. Peter Weller, you guys all know him for RoboCop, of course, and Odyssey 5. But this really is a great film. Definitely a champion of rat movies. I'd say put this right up there with Rats Nights of Terror. In fact, I put this before Rats Nights of Terror. It's my favorite rat movie of all time. It just got a really good Blu-ray release, I believe, from Scream Factory or some company, but really well deserved. It's been out of print for a long time. This snapper case has got to be replaced. It drives me nuts, but I'll definitely be upgrading this at some point. But Unknown Origin with Peter Weller, it's a fucking amazing film.
All right, well, we ran into our first doubler.
What's
Nest.
that? Oh, The Nest. Nice.
There it is.
It's a good movie, man.
It is.
That cave. Don't go into that cave.
The funny thing was that big creature, if I gotta say something about that big mutated, whatever the hell you want to call it at the end of it.
Yeah.
when he rips off her arm and stuff. Like the effects.
She's not having a very nice day, does she?
The effects was actually pretty cool for that. I mean, there was really great special effects in this. I don't remember who did them. What does it say? But yeah, what I think was cool was like, remember when she sticks her hand in with the cockroaches?
Oh God.
And she's got the glove on, and it's just like they start eating away at like her
It
hand.
doesn't matter what they put in those things;
Yeah.
they will fucking eat through anything.
And the guy, and the doctor's just like, well, why don't you take your hand out? And he has to grab her hands. It's like, because she was so fascinated by it.
Remember the
It's
guy
like,
in the
God.
dumpster?
Oh God.
That scene.
Yeah.
That scene was one of my favorites.
There's so many, and the effects, like I said.
I'm glad we had a double so we can talk about that more, but The Nest really is good.
It is a good movie.
That was your last one?
No, we each have one more.
Oh, yeah, we each have
Down to
one
the
more.
final one. Here we go.
No, I saved this one for last because it has a scene that still to this day scares the living shit out of me. And it's not the greatest movie in the world, but not the worst, but very real for snakes, called Rattlers.
Here. What's that?
This is from, I want to say 76, something like that.
We'll go with the 70s.
76, 77, yeah, all these great films are a lot of the 70s and 80s. Like I said, they don't make movies like this anymore, and if they do, it's all a bunch of CGI fucking rat shit. You know, CGI snakes, CGI fucking bugs, and fucking.
Well, it's because they gotta make up
worms and
like ice spiders and stuff.
like a movie, like Kingdom of the Spiders or even Rattlers. That would never come out today because of all, you know, you can't.
Well, PETA would step
PETA
in
would
and say,
fucking kill.
you can't be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely a champion of that, but
Well, that's like.
Rattlers is a terrifying film. These snakes are just relentless. I'll talk about the scene that scares me. Is there's this hot chick that wants to take a bath, and her plumbing's all fucked up, you know. So she calls this really geeky plumber over to fix her plumbing, and he's beneath the house, you know, swinging with the pipes and stuff. And he tells her the only way you can take a bath is if you like heat up some water in a pot and put it in the bathtub. So that's what she does. So she's sitting in the bathtub and this guy's under her house working. And then there's this fucking rattlesnake that first it kills him, but then it goes up the drain pipe and she's in the bathtub. And you see this, it's a real snake too. The snake actually, I'm going to throw the trailer on at some point in this show, but because it deserves to be seen. But there's a scene where all these fucking rattlesnakes are coming out of this drain pipe, literally like flying at her when she's taking a bath. And it's so over the top, and it just scares the shit out of me because that really can happen. There are cases where snakes can go up drain pipes.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they can bite you in your finkster. They can fucking get you on the shitter. They
Right
can
in your
get you in the
sack.
bathtub. Yeah. So that scene just alone for that, and then there's a scene where these little kids fall into this pit of rattlesnakes. That's never good. Yeah, this is a really relentless movie. I loved it. Rattlers, check it out. There's also another really good one called Rattled as well.
Well, I guess we end on both of our phobias because the one we've been talking about.
This is the best movie ever fucking made for this show right here.
Starring Mr. Bill Shatner is Kingdom of the Spiders from 1977.
Hail. It's the best.
I remember seeing this on TV for the first time, and I didn't see the whole thing. The only where it started was when it was right before the scene when that little girl's sleeping on the bed.
Oh,
And
God, yeah.
the spiders start getting into the house, and William Shatner goes up there, and he's trying to save her. And he walks in the room, and there's spiders crawling all over this girl, and he's sitting there just knocking them off. And that was where it started. And that was the first time I saw it on like AMC or something. And so I ended up finding a copy of it myself because I'm like, oh man, it's one of those movies that you just gotta see.
Yeah.
And watched it, and you know, if you actually, there's a documentary that talks about this, and I saw it a few years ago that talks about this and about the spiders and the kind of tarantulas they used. They used one breed of them for certain shots. The ones where they find the mounds out in the fields, they had to put those behind glass.
Oh, really?
Because they had, like, you know how Indiana Jones and what was that?
Temple Doom?
No, the one in the desert. That was with Sean Connery.
Razor of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, when he does the snakes and he falls down in the pit, and
Yeah.
he sees the king cobra. Okay, that was shot behind glass.
Okay.
So they did. They had to do the same thing for these because what they found out is these were aggressive tarantulas. For the house scenes, they actually had to get a different breed of tarantula to do. So it's actually kind of. This movie has a lot of stories behind it, but yeah.
There's a really good Blu-ray that I wouldn't mind getting.
Absolutely. There's really great releases. This is my classic VHS because I love to watch this on VHS.
School's old school, yeah.
But it's just one of those movies again. But that end scene when he looks out the window and you just see that demise, and the entire village is just covered in
I like when they look out the
oh.
first time and they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Then they look out again and they're surrounded.
Yep. And it's just like you see that impending doom. It's like, what do you do? It's like,
Yeah.
man.
And it's such a case of there you are because you're in this bar. You know, and what is it, like Texas or something? It's like
Nevada?
I know it's like a really hot environment. And they're like barricading themselves in this bar.
I think it's Nevada.
And they set, you know, they have like a fireplace going in the middle of summer. So they're roasting their asses off, but they can't open a window because all these...
Oh, Arizona.
Arizona, because all these spiders are just infecting this place. And when Bill Shatner goes downstairs to check the fuse box...
Oh, and it jumps
Oh,
on his
shit.
hand.
Yeah.
Ah,
We've been
gross.
talking about this movie for a while. But
Yeah. So anyways,
it's well deserved, though.
But anyways, there's our top 10 for bug infestation movies. Like we said, there's plenty of them. There's a lot of them.
Oh, can I throw an honorable mention?
Oh yeah, that's right. He's got one.
Now, it's not a snake movie per se, but there is a scene
One
in this
scene,
movie,
yes.
just like Rattlers, that still sticks to me. Never getting a cup of coffee the same way again. And that is Race with the Devil with Warren Oates and Peter Fonda. If you've seen this movie, you already know what I'm talking about. That scene with the fucking rattlesnakes in the camper, in the Winnebago, is just absolutely terrifying. And it's definitely well worth mentioning as well.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're gonna go do something. I don't know. We'll surprise you.
We already killed Sean. What more is there?
That's what posers get.
Yeah, you had a bad ending.
All right, guys, we'll be back. Cheers.
Hey.
There we go. Good man, this is fucking good stuff, man.
I want to see these guys live.
They were actually down in Milwaukee not too long ago. Yeah.
Definitely ever come back, we gotta go for sure.
Oh, absolutely. You listen to much of Immolation?
Oh yeah, I love these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Sick ass riffs.
Shit, man, it's hot in here, man. Wow. Thanks, I will feel like I'm at the show.
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna go outside and get some air. You want guys want to go?
Join you.
Alright.
No, I'll stay.
You good?
Nah, dude, come on.
No, I'm good.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Alright, hold the fort, we'll be back.
Alright.
Dude, what do you want to do the show about?
I don't know, man.
What one is this?
38.
30. Holy shit. So what do you think of this guy, Sean?
Seems alright.
Think so?
Yeah. I mean, there's some things he says sometimes that kind of make me worry, but
Like what? Think he's a poser or something?
I wouldn't go that far. But, I mean, just some of the, like when we talk about bands,
Yeah.
you know,
He's
just,
got a Dark Throne hat, so
that's true.
he must be true.
Yeah, well, anybody
He likes
can buy
horror
that,
movies.
You can buy that shit at Hot Topic anytime. I mean,
Good point.
you know, it doesn't necessarily need it, but I mean, you know,
Give the guy a
he
chance.
looks like
You know?
he looks badass.
Yeah,
You know, and,
give the guy a chance. He
hey,
seems
it works for me because nobody around here listens to extreme music. So
no shit. I
you
mean,
know.
we are as extreme as they come, you know.
So I like, you know, for somebody who could sit down and listen to Immortal and stuff like that, I'm for it. So
Fucking A, man.
yeah.
We should probably get back in there and
Hang on. Shh, shh, shh,
it's actually nice out here.
shh. You hear that? Listen. You hear it? The fuck is
I
that?
hear shitty music. Is that coming from your fucking neighbors?
Usually, that don't sound like it's down here though. It sounds like it's upstairs. That.
Hold on.
All right. Listen. You hear that? That's from coming from upstairs.
No way. That sounds like bullbag shit. I wish Sean to listen to that. He better not. They're just gonna get his ass kicked out. Or something else. So, I just
the fuck is this? Oh, look, dude, really?
Fucking poser!
I knew it was him. The fuck is? What the shit is this?
I thought you were metal. I thought you were black metal,
Fuck
man.
out of here, dude.
What?
You know what we do to fucking posers like you?
What? Do it, fucker. You want bye-bye?
Yeah,
I'll give you bye-bye, motherfucker. I'm taking this fucking hat, too, because you're a fucking poser. You know what?
Here's two.
I can't get your fucking hat on. Fuck you.
Just. Ooh. Oh! Hey.
Hey, what's going on, horror fans? This is a part of the show we don't like doing, but it's definitely necessary, and we always do tributes to people that deserve it. Definitely horror figures throughout the years.
Definitely.
That mean a lot to us and the genre itself. Definitely we know him for Coffin Joe, but his real name is Jose Moica Marins.
If we said that differently?
If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. I got to work on my Brazil, but definitely he's well worth a tribute.
Yeah.
It was like a shotgun blast to the head when I heard that. Like, he was an old guy. He died at 83, I believe.
Still relatively young by today's standards, but I thought he was older than that. I mean,
Yeah, like, but he really put a staple on horror from other countries. But Brazil, like, you think a movie wouldn't come out of Brazil, like a horror movie, because they're so hard to get distributed and stuff, but or made even. But really, he had a dream and he went with it. He started out as just having a fascination with film at an early age. He actually grew up in the theater. He lived behind a movie theater. His parents worked at the movie theater, so he was bound to do something in art, and he always had a passion for art. He's a great artist as well as a director, and a couple of his first projects didn't quite work out because of
finances was always
definitely finances, and
yeah.
all the things seem to be like I said, it's hard to make a film in another country. And a lot of that was against him. And a lot of people were doubting his talent too, and they said that you probably should just give it up and do something else. But
I think a lot of it had to do with what he was doing.
They were very offended by some of the stuff.
Because even the movies we're going to talk about and the ones he's well known for, very religious people came from Brazil, and he was doing stuff that very against religious beliefs in the towns. I mean, even his family didn't really care for him. I mean, they supported him, unconditionally, I guess, but. These movies that came out, and especially at the time, I mean, they're brutal as shit.
We're talking, Midnight I'll Take Your Soul came out in 1963, and
this is before Night of the Living Dead in America. I mean, you got to think, if you've seen this movie, how brutal this is.
There are some scenes in this movie that,
and
at the time, all the imagery and the religious references definitely opened a lot of doors, and Jose got the inspiration for Coffin Joe from a nightmare he had as a young man. He had a nightmare about seeing this figure cloaked all in black, and basically it takes him to this cemetery and shows him the birth date and the death date, and of course he doesn't want to know the death date, so
right.
That scared him more than anything.
That's terrifying.
I wonder what the date was. I mean, was it?
I doubt it
really was 2020. How do you know? But still, it was kind of a creepy premonition and scared him so bad. And he was always a fan of science fiction and horror movies, and he kind of wanted to do something with more meat in it. Like he was doing a lot more experimental films. I guess what you would call art exploitation. You could call today, but back then it didn't really have a word. It was brand new territory. And he really loved horror films and science fiction films, so he really wanted to dabble into that. And the Coffin Joe character was pretty much born out of this nightmare. And when he started making At Midnight I'll Take Your Soul, the only problem he had, he could find actors and whatnot, but he couldn't find anyone to play Coffin Joe. Because no one would ever measure up to what he had in mind.
Yep.
And he just pretty much said, "Fuck it, I'll put on a top hat and a cape, and the rest is history." Grew his fingernails long, you know. Trademark Coffin Joe.
he made an iconic villain with Coffin Joe.
Ziduka show.
And so, I mean, we'll talk about now here. At Midnight, I'll Take Your Soul. 1963.
Oh yeah.
All shot in black and white, like majority of his films. This really put him on the map. I mean, as far as Brazilian films went, even American films, this was brutal. This was something that had violence and torture, rape, and basically the story about trying to basically find a woman so he could continue his family name or his bloodline.
Yep. The immortality of blood.
Yep. And you had the fingers getting chopped off. And I mean, just
the old witch
with
the most creepy laugh I've ever heard.
The intro that she basically told you not to watch this.
Don't watch this movie. Say it, father. Yeah.
So I mean, a character like Coffin Joe in a movie like this,
amazing.
Again, this really put this as a character. It's kind of the same way that, like, I guess Elvira, maybe the first time she ever was on, or Vampiro ever made her first appearance on TV. It was in your head, and you just didn't forget it. And it's kind of weird because these movies were very religious based, and the ending of the movie when he's basically trying to call out God, and I mean, literally when I read, if you watch the documentary or watch it on this one, they talk about how he shot that scene basically in one shot. It was that.
He was drunk.
Yeah, it was that whole dramatic.
Did it one scene.
Yeah,
yep.
It was one shot. He basically did that whole dialogue and
classic, man.
And it's like, that's an actor. For some guy who directed the movie,
to make the character his own.
That whole dialogue, calling out God, and then all of a sudden his victims and spirits come back show up, and the
scorn the living, mock the dead.
It's so it's scary in its own right because the storm's going on.
Some of the imagery too, like when he sees Antonio at the end, and he's got that glitter around him, because back then they didn't have any special effects, so they just put glitter. They put glitter on the screen, and it still looks legit today, man. It still looks good, and it's cheap to do. All you had to do is put a little makeup on, because they didn't have a lot of budget for these films. These were made on little sound stages.
You had this one also with the eye gouging scene. I mean, there's a lot of iconic.
Doctor.
When he dies, and you just see it, he's upside down, his head comes back, it's all
doesn't technically die though.
No, well, we'll find out. Yeah. But his face gets ripped off, and it's just this. I mean,
the last scene where his eyes are like, fuck yeah.
I mean, so at Midnight I Take Your Soul. This is the first one from '63. Now,
I'll do this one.
You can start on this one.
Tis the Night I'll Possess Your Corpse. Now, this is my personal favorite.
It's more brutal than the first, if you believe that one.
Yeah, this came out in '66, so he had more of a budget. Obviously, he made his name felt through At Midnight I'll Take Your Soul, so he had a little bit more dough to play with. He had more actors. He had more people that wanted to work with him, It never wasn't a matter of not having people to work with, because he really was well-liked, even though he was shunned by a lot of people, including the Catholic Church, but a lot of people wanted to work with him.
And there were, at first, there were people that were against this because of the high religious beliefs, but he actually kind of set them straight in realizing that
there's a message. There's a message in these movies.
We're not
if you go searching, if you go searching for truth, you're gonna find it. That's what the message is, basically. But at Midnight This Night I'll Possess Your Corpse is my personal favorite. There's a scene. We just talked about snakes and tarantulas and stuff, but there's a scene where the spiders and snakes are torturing. He tortures all these women and puts them in like this dungeon cellar or whatever, and
starts throwing them, like he drops them from that.
Now they come out of the wall, but he's sitting there eating grapes and listening to his little
watching.
And he's making out with the other chick that made it through everything, all the torture.
Well, this was like they had the final scene, and this is actually kind of that voyeuristic thing. And this is the first scene I ever watched, was that when he's peeking behind the wall between the holes in the wall.
Yep.
And he has like 8 or 9 girls that are all sleeping in this room, and he unleashes. He opens this little door, and all the tarantulas crawling. Basically, this
Real
is
tarantulas, too.
a continuation of the first one. He's still trying to find the perfect woman to continue his bloodline. So it really is a sequel in a sense. And what it is he's testing these girls and all these different things to find out who's strong enough to continue that. But that was the first scene. These tarantulas are just crawling on all these girls and shit. And that was the first thing, and he's watching it. And you just see the close-up of his eyes, and he's just watching. So there's this kind of dark, sadistic voyeurism that goes on, and it's just...
And if you watch the behind the scenes and hear some of the stories, a lot of those tarantulas and snakes got loose, and there were a lot of complaints throughout Brazil about it, so I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But they handled it really well, and there's also an awesome scene. Of course, probably most people, Coffin Joe fans, Ithaca Show fans, know is when Coffin Joe goes to hell. That scene is all shot in color.
Yep,
and
with all the asses and the boobs hanging on the walls.
And the way it was made for its time was just absolutely amazing. I mean, he had simple shit like popcorn falling that looks like snow, and he had electrical charges on the floor, so the actors would walk weird.
They'd have a realistic sense of that. But yeah, I mean, his vision of hell when he was dragged down there, that was cool. Being dragged from his bedroom, that whole dream sequence. I mean, you don't expect a color thing for once.
No, it comes out of nowhere.
But how that's done, it almost reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street when Freddy has all the souls and he opens up his shirt, and it's kind of all the faces and the limbs.
Yeah.
It kind of, you'd almost think it's like a premonition, Wes Craven maybe took an idea off of that. Who knows? Because it's that same idea, but yeah, that vision of hell is it's really cool because they take it to the ice layer or whatever it is.
Yep.
And, that Hades layer is the deepest level of ice or some shit like that. However that works.
Do we
want to do that one?
I have to do this one because this is a third film in the proper trilogy.
Technically, yes. We're not going to go from the third one in the year sequence, but we'll go by
Embodiment of Evil. This is one of Joe's last films. In fact, this is his last film.
Should be the third one of this the original trilogy, but is not. And
I think it really lives up to it. I like how it displaces scenes from the first two films in it as well. And they have an actor that looks just like the old Coffin Joe. He actually won a contest. That's how he got the role in it, which is awesome. So I think he's American as well. But yeah, Coffin Joe is really sadistic in this movie. Of course, they had to adapt with the times, with the whole torture porn. I hate that term, but all the movies that are getting more brutal and shit. Something like This Night I'll Possess Your Corpse. For its time, it was terrifying and just really sadistic horror, and it still is, but. By now standards, I mean, you could watch it on AMC. They would show it uncut, probably on AMC or something.
It's not what today is,
So he had to adapt, and Coffin Joe himself did not direct this, but he had a huge hand.
You would have to. Right, it's his character.
Right next to Gabriel Liberazdi, I think is his name. Anyway, he's a great director as well. But this is a really good one. Very sadistic. There's a scene where he peels skin off and just fish hooks and just really sadistic.
This actually made more sense of the story, which is why it's considered.
And there's a fitting ending. It's a fitting ending too.
It makes more sense than the last one we'll get into here, real quick.
Yeah, I can.
Awakening of the Beast, 1969. Now this one is more of an experimental, almost, I guess you could say.
Drug.
It's a drug movie. This was his experimentation on the big craze,
LSD.
the 60s and 70s. Basically teaching the lessons of drugs. Drugs are bad. Okay?
Yeah, that movie's prime example. Of drugs are bad.
That's what he was trying to do. He was actually fascinated by this wave of films like that, like Reefer Madness, and where it taught you almost like the bad effects of drugs. All right, and the unofficial. Well, the third one of the series, the initial releases from '69, was Awakening of the Beast. This, of course, Entombment of Evil, most people consider the third actual Embodiment of Evil. Sorry, let's redo that. I fucked that up.
Dick.
Entombment?
Entombment of Evil. Sorry. That's a cool name for it, man.
Embodiment of Evil. Okay, here we go.
Embodiment.
So, Awakening of the Beast, which came out in 1969, was the third of the original trilogy, but this one had really not much to do with the Coffin Joe character other than the LSD people kept seeing him in dreams and stuff like that, and he just kept showing up. But Embodiment of Evil, 2008, was the now considered the actual third one of the trilogy. But Awakening of the Beast was, again, basically there were these drugs that were given to this group of people that were all brought together, and this was poor people, rich people, white people, black people. It was just a collection of people. And they took these drugs and, they saw these visions and of Coffin Joe would show up, and Coffin Joe or Jose would show up as he was the director, but he was in the movie itself.
It was an experiment with LSD.
Yep. But the funny thing about this was that at the end of the movie, you find out he didn't give him anything. He really gave him water or whatever it was, and that
distilled water.
And the whole purpose of it was he was saying that the hallucinations and all this is always embodied in someone's mind. It has nothing to do with drugs at all. So it was an interesting movie. Awakening of the Beast is definitely a different watch. But again, that drug craze of the 60s really makes a lot of sense.
I'd like to say too, what was your first introduction to Coffin Joe?
First time I ever saw him was on, I believe it was on AMC. And it was at night, I was just flipping through channels, and I just saw this, Tonight I'll Possess Your Corpse, right? And I didn't even know the movie, I just saw the headline of it, I didn't know who the hell this was.
Must have scared the shit out of you.
Well, that was the thing, that I watched it for a while because I was intrigued by it. I saw the spiders on the women, and that's what I remember seeing, the pit with all these girls in there and stuff, and seeing this on TV, it was intriguing, but honestly, it was a second thought. I never really thought about who he was or whatever.
That image stuck with you though, with the top hat and the long nails.
And the thing that, the nails I always remember, and that actually, honestly, when I met you for the band and shit like that, is actually when that came across again, and I saw that and I went, and that just triggered my memory, and I was like, God, I remember watching that. So that's pretty much how it started, because realistically, he became a second, forethought for me. So
for me, it was White Zombie made their last album, I think 94, 95, Astro Creep 2000, and they used, I forget the songs, but throughout the album they used snippets from actually Awakening of the Beast. And at the time I didn't know it, I just thought that the laughing character was really creepy, like the way he laughed. And I didn't know for years that was actually Coffin Joe. So that's kind of my first introduction to him, I guess you could say. But it wasn't until Necrophagia released their album from 2003, The Divine Art of Torture, where I actually really latched on to Coffin Joe and his films and kind of did more research. Because his films were, before this box set even that came out, like, these are hard as shit to find, so you had to like look at publications like Rue Morgue and people that you trust, like, Killjoy and stuff like that, even Phil Anselmo, like, you'd hear people talk about Coffin Joe and his films, and it was just really enticing that someone that kind of gets into the horror genre, that wants to get more dirty, that wants to see more films that you don't normally see.
Well, something different.
I mean, we have Freddie and Jason here, and that's great, but Coffin Joe was before. Let's just face it. Way before. And he definitely deserves respect, and he was a great character.
I mean, rest in peace. Obviously.
Absolutely. Lizzie Mojica Martin's definitely rest in peace. You guy was a legend. If you ever are in Italy, check out his, we never have, but if you ever are in Italy, check out his Coffin Joe Museum. You see a lot of props and posters and really cool shit.
The actual comics are, I believe, they're copies of them, but...
Excellent.
So yeah.
That was our little tribute to Coffin Joe.
With that being said, guys, enjoy this tribute video for Coffin Joe.
Forever.
Cheers.
Yeah, Pete.
É o princípio da morte. O que é a morte? É o fim da vida.
Que ainda no mundo, apesar de imundo, imundo porque fazem você chorar do que vê.
Crie os seus poderes! Renego a sua existência!
Vamos morrer, morrer muito cedo por causa do medo. Por causa de loucos que eu sei não são poucos, que querem assim pra todos um fim, por meio da guerra, fazendo varrer da face da terra. Tudo que existe.
Oi, oi, seja bem-vindo à casa de José Mujica Marins, o criador de Zé do Caixão. Coffin Joe, pode entrarem, entram. A casa é nossa. Na verdade, tudo começou realmente porque eu me apeguei ao gênero de terror muito cedo. Claro que eu gostava, quando era pequeno, de história em quadrinho. E procurava realmente as revistas de terror que me fascinava muito.
Tudo que existe, meu Deus, vai ser triste. 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 Tudo que existe, Deus vai ser triste.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is the end of episode 38 for Descent into Horror Hell. It's been a hell of a good time.
He's not dead.
He's okay.
Not yet.
The poser,
He is not a poser, by the way. He's our good brother.
as you know. Yeah, as we aforementioned in the intro, that we were going to be doing a favorite of our franchises. Kind of time restrictions for us prohibit that, I guess. So basically, what we want to do is we want to do justice to it. So we're going to save that for the next episode, episode 39. Hope you guys join us for that.
That should be a blast.
Got anything to say?
Zombie Sean, want to say anything?
No, I'm good. How are those NSYNC boys?
Yeah. What's your favorite
They're
NSYNC song?
Thank you for killing me. Put him out of his misery.
Yeah, we keep it real. That's for sure. So, Ghoul, take it away.
What am I doing?
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
We'll see you guys next time. Rest in peace. Jose Mojica Martins, definitely forever. Coffin Joe, hell yeah. See you guys next month. Thank you for watching on Descent into Horror. Keep it real.